Welcome to Voices of Global Freedom Radio. We are broadcasting from San Diego, California, Saturday, February 28th, 2015. This is Roy Backpack Barron and our co-host Yoda. We bring our patriotic conservative audience news you can use and actionable tactics, methods, and strategies to survive and thrive in these dangerous, troubled times. We are proud to be syndicated with the popular radio networks, the Spark Radio Network, K98 Talk, and Top 5 News Picks on Top Talk Radio, along with Sean Hannity, Rush Limbaugh, and other household names. Bad boys, what you gonna do when they come for you?
Bad boys. This is Yoda. Our stunning guest tonight is one Lieutenant Randy Sutton. Randy started his career in Princeton, New Jersey as a street cop. I opine that he got tired of looking at college girls there. He actually craved more action. He moved on to Las Vegas Metro. At one time, well, he can tell us, it was per population the highest crime-to-person city in the United States. Randy, whom I call Lieutenant because he earned it, is the most decorated copper in Las Vegas. He's created now I can't read that, I'm too old. He'll tell us about it. Welcome, Lieutenant.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me on, guys. And by the way, that rendition of Bad Boys was about the worst I've ever heard.
Tell him, Backpack, that we even practiced for that.
Yeah, we practiced for that, so that represents the bar. That was going for the bar there.
How often were you on the cop show?
I was on 14 episodes of the television show Cops, beginning in, believe it or not, 1989. It was their second season, and 1989, and then back again in '94, and again in '95, and had a lot of fun doing that. They're still making money off of me.
Did you do them in Vegas?
They were all in Vegas, yes.
And you did one in London?
No, I went to London because I got hired by a film company in Britain who bought footage from the producers of Cops and then produced another video in England. And they hired me to host it and then flew me over to England to talk to the British police and the British media about being a policeman and the differences between being a police officer in America and in England. It was very, very interesting. And they even let me ride escort with the Queen Mum during her birthday. It was quite a celebration.
Well, I bet it was. Who were you riding with?
Who was I riding with?
Yeah.
Scotland Yard was the organization, and they when I arrived in England, and the film producer introduced me to the inspector at Scotland Yard, and over a couple of shots of Macallan Scotch, he asked me if I rode motorcycle, and I said yes, I do. He says, "Oh, very good. Then be at your hotel at 6 a.m. We'll pick you up, and wear your uniform." So I had my Las Vegas police uniform with a rubber gun because I couldn't wear a gun over there, and they gave me a British jacket and helmet and a motorcycle, and I rode escort with the motorcycle unit of Scotland Yard. It was unbelievable.
Oh, it is. One. Who lives like that? Nobody.
One of the funniest things was after riding escort with the Queen, I was standing in front of Buckingham Palace in full uniform with my Las Vegas police uniform on, and an Asian woman walks up to me, and she's looking at me and giving me this crazy look, and of course she's trying to figure out what in God's name I am, standing guard in front of Buckingham Palace, and then she walks up to me and flashes a Los Angeles police officer badge at me, and says to me, "What the hell are you doing here?"
Wow, what a story.
I love it.
Wow.
Did you get to the Wig and Pen Club?
No, I don't think so. They took me to a bunch of places, but I don't remember the names of them.
There's a Wig and Pen Club, supposed to be jurists and journalists. It's full of cops and intel agents from MI5. Anyway. Well, we are so happy to have you on, good Lieutenant. So you got tired of looking at college girls in Princeton, right?
Well, I no, that's not true. I never got tired of looking at college girls. In fact, I'm still not tired of looking at college girls. But,
Understood.
But I did get kind of bored being a policeman there. I spent 10 years, 6 years as a patrol officer, and 4 years as a detective. And then I decided that I wanted to see a little more action, so I applied for the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and got hired. Had to go through the academy all over again and go through, be a rookie all over again. But I never looked back at that move, because being a police officer in Las Vegas is unlike being a cop anywhere else in the country. It's a fascinating place. It was an excellent career. I of course had the same challenges that everyone has when you're a police officer. Seeing a lot of negative stuff and a lot of pain and misery and cruelty. But being able to work with men and women of the caliber that Metro has really was an inspiring experience for me, and friendships that were developed as well as comradeship that exists to this day.
You retired in 2010, and I've just written down for Backpack what you missed. I'm going to guess what you missed. I wrote it down. What do you miss?
What do I miss about being a cop?
Yeah.
I'd say the thing that I miss most is the camaraderie of working with men and women who are really committed to a mission, and the humor and the feeling of camaraderie that you enjoy working in close quarters for a common mission. I think that's probably what I miss the most. I do miss a little of the adrenaline dump now and then. Doing the hot and heavy police work. I stayed on the street most of my career. In fact, I never promoted anything above lieutenant, because that was the last rank that you could actually be a real cop. So I spent the last 7 years of my career as the graveyard field lieutenant and watch commander. And I can tell you this, that graveyard shift, Las Vegas PD, is the shift to be if you like action.
Yeah, unlike most places. I work with a department here in northern San Diego suburb. And 2 in the morning, it shuts off. It's eerie out here. You told me off air, the graveyard there, you just run call to call, right?
Very often, yes. I mean, of course, there are times when there's downtime, but for the most part, you're busy all the time. This is a very, very busy police department.
A lot of crimes to person, I suppose.
It runs the gamut. Everything is here. Because the tourism industry, people come here to let their hair down and party, and sometimes they make, shall we say, rash decisions when it comes to personal decision making, and sometimes they wind up on a slab because of it, as well as trying to explain to their wives how their Rolex got stolen by the hooker that drugged them in their room.
I had written down that you would miss the camaraderie and the adrenaline.
Well, you're right on.
I do, but I think we're both doing the same thing. We still keep our hands in. We work with federal authorities here in training and tactic strategy and like that. We're still out with the people on that, so I still get the camaraderie. You're still in the game, of course. What's this
I'm
new
in the game to a certain aspect because I've been a trainer, law enforcement trainer for many years, and I still travel the country talking to police officers about the topic. It's called Policing with Honor, and I teach this seminar. It's an 8-hour seminar all over the country to police agencies as well as the sheriff's associations and groups of cops. See, it's about surviving your career ethically as well as surviving your career emotionally and physically. And to me, it's one of the most important topics in law enforcement, but also one of the most ignored. But I just got back from teaching in Indiana 3 days ago, and I'm heading back Midwest to do another seminar in 2 weeks, as a matter of fact. So yeah, I still get a chance to interact with men and women of law enforcement, and that gives me great pleasure. Plus, I'm really proud of being named the national spokesman for a brand new national police organization, law enforcement organization called the American Council on Public Safety. And this is, I believe we're going to be able to really touch a lot of police lives and communities with our mission. It's defendingtheshield.org is our website. And that's what it's about. You know, it was born, the American Council on Public Safety was born from the events in Ferguson and New York where the protesters were wreaking havoc, and the news media was wreaking even more havoc. And there was very little in the way of national media attention being directed towards cops that know what they're talking about and can defend and give the legitimate point of view of law enforcement. So a group out of Washington, D.C., conservative think tank, saw the need for this organization, and we are very, very young. It's just been formed, but it looks like it's going to be quite an organization, and I believe that we will be touching police lives in a very, very dramatic way over the next few years.
We are all in with you. Let us know how to help you promote it. Our magazine is millions of circulation, so we want to promote that with you.
That would be awesome. I would love for you. In fact, what we're trying to do, not only provide training for active duty law enforcement and be the voice of American law enforcement, but also to bring retired police officers back into the fold, because the skill levels and the patriotism of retired cops is very, very high. And, when there is a need for law enforcement assistance, who better to ask to help than those that have served? So we're looking to create an organization that will assist retired officers in obtaining and training for their HR 218, their ability to carry their weapons. A lot of cops around the country have difficulty in getting the qualification process done because they live outside the jurisdictions where they served. So we're trying to address that, and also take on issues that are affecting law enforcement officers around the country. So I'm really excited about this opportunity. There are some amazing people that are taking part in this, and we're a brand new organization. I really urge your listeners to go to defendingtheshield.org and contact us, as well as go to our Facebook page and like us and follow us.
You've excited your audience already. I have 2-3 emails wanting to know more about the organization. One's from Beloit, West. Well, I don't care where they're from. Anyway, you're wowing your audience, Lieutenant, didn't he? Right?
Yeah, that's
you
right.
really are. Tell us about your.
I'm excited. I'm excited by it because they. See, what happened was I'm very vocal. I'm on a national television show called Fired Up, which is about Second Amendment rights and a political commentary show. And this organization, that when they were created, they heard some of what I had to say about current events, what was taking place in Ferguson. In fact, I actually traveled to Ferguson to talk to cops in that area during the riots to get their view of things, and wrote about it in my blog. And it got quite a bit of attention when I challenged Al Sharpton and Eric Holder to a debate. And so as a result of that is that they've named me the national spokesman for this organization.
Good on you, brother. Tell us about your book, and you're coming over our way tomorrow.
I am. I've written 4 books starting in the early 2000s, right after the World Trade Center attack. Everybody that's been in law enforcement shares the same kind of stories. It may vary a little bit, but in reality, everybody that wears a badge experiences the same adventures, the same traumas, the same experiences. They just have a different face and a different name on them. And one of the most emotional experiences that I had as a police officer occurred in the late 90s when I came upon a drive-by shooting where a 1-month-old baby had been shot in the face by some gang members, literally for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And they just fired upon this car as a gang initiation. And the little baby was shot in the face, and I literally drove up on it, not knowing what I was driving up on. And the little baby stopped breathing. And I was able to bring her back, perform mouth-to-mouth resuscitation on her within a minute. So there was no brain damage, and that was such an emotional experience for me that I wrote the story. It's called Her Name Was Jackie, because her name was Jackie, which makes a great deal of sense. And I put the story away. I didn't know what to do with it. I just felt I needed to write it because it was a catharsis for me. And a couple of years later, when the World Trade Center was attacked and 72 New York City and Port Authority police officers lost their lives in the line of duty, I felt that I needed to do something to help both the healing process and also to help the families of the cops who were killed. So what I did was I asked cops from all over the country to send me a story about something that affected them deeply in their career. And what resulted from that was True Blue, police stories by those who have lived them. And I donated every penny of the royalties to the Widows and Orphans Fund for the cops who were killed in 9/11. So I didn't really intend to become a writer, but the publishing house that published that book liked what I wrote and asked me if I would write my own book of my own life stories. So that was my second book, called The Cop's Life, which is still available on Amazon and is still actually used by police agencies around the country as a textbook in what police work is truly like. Some agencies give it to spouses of newly hired police officers so that they will have an idea of what police work really encompasses. And over the years, I have been contacted by no less than, I'm going to say, 16 or 17 police officers from around the country, people I've never met, who said that that reading my book, A Cop's Life, made them realize that they were not alone in their feelings, and that, in fact, a number of them said that they were actually contemplating suicide until they read the book and realized that they weren't alone, and then they reached out for help. So I'm really proud of that book and what that has done for the men and women of law enforcement in this country. So my third book was another edition of True Blue, which I donated most of the royalties to the Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund in Washington, D.C., where the wall is that bears the names of every police officer killed in the line of duty. That's an organization I'm very much a part of, and was actually given the great honor a year before I retired to sing the national anthem during Police Week in front of the families of every police officer who died in the line of duty that year. So those were my first three books. But I'm really, because of some experiences that happened at the end of my career, I didn't choose to retire, guys. I need to make that clear to you. I was forced to retire because I suffered a stroke in my police car on the Las Vegas Boulevard at 2:30 in the morning. And when they got me, it was literally the most frightening experience of my life. And I'm a survivor of 4 officer-involved shootings. So when I tell you that this stroke was the most frightening thing in my life, you can take it that it was some scary stuff. I lost the ability to speak. I lost the ability to move. I lost the ability to communicate. And I thought that was the end for me, that I was going to be. I wasn't afraid of dying. I was afraid of being stuck there, stuck in that place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was, once again, the little angel who's been sitting on my shoulder for all of my career stepped in, and I survived it. But shortly thereafter, the doctors told me that there was nothing they could do for me, that I had a debilitating heart disease that was incurable. And 3 weeks before that happened, my mother died in my arms.
Wow.
Of heart issues. So when they gave me that little tidbit of news, they actually did surgery on me, and the doctor's sitting on the edge of the bed after the surgery, and he comes in and he says, "Well, Randy, how you feeling?" And I said, "Well, to tell you the truth, I feel pretty damn good." And he smiled and he said, "I'm happy to hear that, Randy, but I don't want you to be under the mistaken impression that anything we did here is going to preclude you from walking out of here and having another heart attack or a stroke." And when they told me that, while I was going through this, I really began examining my own life and my own legacy. And in addition to what was taken away from me, the things I love the most, of course, was my career, my health. But I realized at that moment I was also given a great gift. And I was given what I call the gift of clarity. See, my whole mission during my lifetime was to protect other people. That was my mission. And I could no longer do that in the same manner in which, before the stroke. But I also understood that my mission had simply changed, that I could still do something vitally important, and that was to touch the lives of others by bringing people closer together through the concepts of legacy. And my new book, which is being released Monday, is The Power of Legacy, Personal Heroes of America's Most Inspiring People. Let's face it, you guys been in law enforcement, and you know that through the years, you bear witness to so much cruelty, so much pain and anguish, watching what people are capable of doing to one another. And you start to think that everybody is a degenerate, and that, you can become very, very jaded about people. And I found myself during my career feeling that way at times. But as I examined my own legacy in my own life, I realized that, there are so many people that are out there doing amazing things for their communities and for the world, for their country. And I said to myself, this is where I need to concentrate. This is where I need to show that there are heroes among us. And so I traveled the country talking to people that have done amazing things with their lives. People like Gary Sinise, who has touched the lives of tens of thousands of veterans who were injured. Frank Shankwitz, who was the Arizona State Trooper who created the Make-A-Wish Foundation, who has touched hundreds of thousands of lives around the country. People like Bonnie Carroll, who created the Trauma Assistance Program for survivors for the United States military when it never existed. Bill O'Reilly gave me an interview. I don't know if you're aware of this, but Bill O'Reilly has given somewhere in the area of $25 million of his own money to charities, mostly for helping veterans. And these are the people whose stories need to be told. And that's what I've done with The Power of Legacy, Personal Heroes of America's Most Inspiring People. And what I hope to accomplish with this... I'm sorry, say it again?
We've got a hard break, good Lieutenant. We'll be right back. Hold that thought. We've got a lot of...
You got it.
You've lit up the board here. I think you're going to crash our computer. You're killing it from all over. We've got emails from all... Here's a bloody email from New Zealand. Stand by one, LT.
We want to tell you about one of our mutual friends, ImpactAnalytics.com and PunchingBagPost.com. A dear friend, Sideband, Yoda, aren't we privileged to have him as one of our dear friends?
Indeed we are. Audience, please take a look at ImpactAnalytics.com and another site, PunchingBag.com. Both patriotic sites for our commercial... Anybody out there with 1,000 emails, including our wonderful guest tonight, on a conservative basis can send emails to Tim Kalin at Impact Analytics. And this is hard to describe. Write it down, please. Tim Kalin, Impact Analytics, and PunchingBag.com. I served in Beirut during the embassy bombing and the Marine barracks bombing with Tim. I recommend him without reservation. Take a look at his sites, please. Impact Analytics and PunchingBag.com. You can make an easy dollar working with Tim on Impact Analytics. Back to our lieutenant.
Yeah, I want to say again, PunchingBagPost.com and ImpactAnalytics.com, and contact Tim Kalin. Tell him that Backpack and Yoda referred him to you.
We're back, LT. We'll tell you about that in detail. It can help your organization when we're off air.
Okay,
if you will, how were you rescued from Las Vegas Boulevard when the stroke hit you?
Well, when I was the watch commander that night, and when I was watch commander, what I would do was I would take a patrol officer with me so that he could see what the watch commander actually does, and to see that his lieutenant actually did some police work every now and then. So I had this young officer with me, and we were just coming from a death call where there was a body found, and we're driving down. I was driving, and I felt the stroke coming on. I knew exactly what it was. I literally felt my brain slowing down. So I stopped the police car in the middle of the street, and I turned to this poor kid and I said, "You got to get me medical help. I'm having a stroke."
Wow.
And he looked at me like I was, because of course he thought I was messing with him, and then he realized that this isn't the kind of thing that you joke around about. So I got out of the car to go around to the passenger side to, in case he had to get me to the hospital. And from the time that I got out of the car to the time I walked around, I lost the ability I started speaking gibberish, and I fell to the pavement. I was unable to move or talk, and then I lost the ability to communicate entirely. And he called out an officer needs help call. I was surrounded by my officers who were shielding me from the camera wielding citizens who were taking a picture of the cop who's laying on the sidewalk, unable to move. And they got me to the hospital, and I was just once again really truly fortunate that they got me the medical attention quickly, and that I do not suffer any of the debilitating effects of the stroke. I have full mobility, and I was basically really truly lucky.
Well, and you're truly good. There are two kind of patients. One sits with a shawl around their shoulders saying, "Woe is me," and the other kind, the kind like you, go on and get on with it, Lieutenant. Good on you. Proud of you, brother.
Well, and like I said, it was, I'm a great believer in fate, and that there's a pathway made for us. I live by a certain set of philosophies, and one of them is that you cannot choose your destiny, but you can create your legacy, and that is basically my mantra, and that's what I'm trying to do right now with, I'm hoping that my book, The Power of Legacy, Personal Heroes of America's Most Inspiring People, will inspire others. Those who read this book will be inspired to want to play a role in the lives of other people in positive ways. And those that have read this book already, the reviews are amazing, and I'm so gratified to read and to hear from people who read the book how much it's affected them, that they want to help create a better world themselves, because they read the stories of these people, and many of these stories of these people have overcome insurmountable odds to give back. One of the guys in the book, his name is Kevin Saunders, and Kevin was raised in the Midwest, went to college, and became an inspector for the USDA. And he was a grain elevator inspector. That's what he did. And he was inspecting some grain elevators in Texas, and the worst grain elevator accident explosion that ever occurred took place while he was there, killed 27 people. And the force of the explosion catapulted his body through the second floor roof of the building that he was in, over another second two-story building. 100 yards later, dropped him into the parking lot, crumpled his body, severed his spine, crushed his skull, broke most of the bones in his body. They never expected him to recover. And he did. He made it to the hospital, and during the terrible long months of convalescence, when he didn't know whether he would make it, and he was paralyzed from the waist down, he remembered the words of the man who gave his college commencement, a man named Senator Bob Dole. Senator Bob Dole, I don't know if you're aware of it, was severely injured in World War II during a hand grenade attack, and left much of his body wasted and paralyzed. And Kevin heard the words of Bob Dole at his college commencement about fighting the odds and that you should never give up and you can always create a better world. And that's what got him through. That's what it was, the words of one man, the words of a man who was a fighter, a man who survived and went on to accomplish great things with his life. It was those words that got him through his situation. Now think of that. Bob Dole didn't know who this man was. He didn't know he was touching the life of this young man who went on to become the number one Paralympic athlete in the world, which he is today.
My word.
And served on President Bush's Physical Fitness Council with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Wow.
Now, think of the power of these stories. And when people read them, how they're going to be touched. And that is my mission. That is my mission, to show that heroes still exist and to inspire others to want to become heroes themselves. You know, the word hero, I think, is used in a lot of different connotations. You don't have to be the person that creates a huge organization. All you have to do is touch one life, and you've created a better world. Even an act of kindness, a random act of kindness, an act of compassion can do it, because there's a huge ripple effect when you change the life of another human being. And that's what the power of legacy is all about. I invite your listeners to come to my website, thepoweroflegacy.com, and read stories about this. And come to my Facebook page. It's just under Randy Sutton, and I have one under the Power of Legacy. And come follow it. Enjoy it. Read about the people that are doing amazing things with their lives, and be inspired yourself.
We've got a candidate for you, LT. A friend of mine is named Tom Clardy. He was an original SEAL in Nam when SEALs transitioned from underwater demolition teams, frogmen.
Right.
He was what the Navy calls a plank holder. He was SEAL Team 1. Anyway, old Tom lost a leg, was messed up totally otherwise. Personal friend of mine. He wound up swimming from Long Beach to Catalina in one swim without a leg. And people ride down, they ride down snow hills on a thing they sit on like a ski. They compete in that. And he won the national championship for disabled skiing. Hell of a guy. I'll send it to you, Tom Clardy. Where are you appearing tomorrow for the book signing?
Well, I'm coming into San Diego tomorrow. Monday is there's an organization that was begun by a San Diegan named Greg Reed, and Greg is one of the people who was kind enough to be featured in my book, to contribute the story to my book, because Greg is a very prolific author, public speaker, and motivational speaker, and he's touched the lives of uncountable people with his speaking engagements. And he has an organization called Secret Knock, and this is my third time attending this. People from all over the world come to this, and it is entrepreneurs, it is creative people, it's artists, it's people that want to improve their lives by listening to success stories and touching the lives of other people who have reached out in all kinds of ways. And for 2.5 days, everyone who attends this networks with people just like themselves who want to give back and actually become inspired to become a personal hero themselves. So it's really a cool organization, and they've honored me with opening the I'll be the first speaker at this engagement.
On Monday?
On Monday, yes. Mm-hmm.
Where is it at?
It's at the La Jolla Marriott.
Okay. Can we show up there Monday?
I will talk to Greg and ask. I think they're completely sold out for the attendance. Usually is. There's, like I said, people travel from all over the world to come to this and hear stories about people who have, really become successful in ways that, some are economic, some are creative, some are just in altruistic ways, and walk out of there, inspired to give back, inspired to create a successful environment for themselves. So Frank Jankwitz is going to be there. He's one of the featured speakers, the man who created the Make-A-Wish Foundation. In fact, they're making a movie about his life right now, and Greg Reed is the producer of that movie.
I don't want you to be this close and not shake hands with you. You driving over?
Absolutely. No, I will. We'll after the show, we'll figure it out, and I'll definitely. In fact, I think maybe a beer might be a better solution here.
That could work, or a 6-pack of scotch like you had in England.
Well, that works for me as well. But I want to tell you about something else that I've created that I think is going to touch the world in even bigger, greater ways than my books. By the way, the Power of Legacy. This is only the first book in the series. I've begun work on book number 2, which is America's Most Inspiring Leaders, and I'm going to travel the country once again, talking to people who have led others in some in corporations, some in government, some in sports teams, some in the military, but people that have inspired others with their leadership. So I intend that the Power of Legacy is going to be a series of books over the next few years that will continue to inspire others. But when I was facing my mortality, when the doctors told me to basically get my affairs in order, and of course, as I said, 3 weeks before the stroke, my mother, with whom I lived, passed away in my arms. And I had brought my mother out to live with me after my dad died. And so I had 5 great years with her where she was in relatively good health. And then she became terminally ill. And she wanted to die at home. So home hospice was arranged. I'm sorry, say that again?
We're with you.
Okay.
Well, we're going to take a really short break. Voice of the Global Freedom Radio, we're interviewing Lieutenant Randy Sutton. He's the most decorated Las Vegas police copper of over 3 decades of experience here. We'll be right back with Lieutenant Randy Sutton. Energy Efficiency Pros, EE Pros, solutions that save you money. Are you a commercial business looking to reduce costs on your energy bill? Replacing traditional light bulbs with LED results in tremendous savings every month. Commercial, industrial, and manufacturing facilities from coast to coast are saving up to 90% on their skyrocketing costs of energy. Energy costs are rising every month, but using EE PROS lighting saves money, time, and will bring you happier employees and customers. For a free audit and evaluation of your facility, contact or email Don Arrigo, President of EEPROS, at 480-585-9161. Tell Don that Backpack of Voices of Global Freedom Radio referred you. Yoda, have you had some experience with this?
I have indeed. The abomination, our current fearless chamber of golf, promised he would transform America. He would kill the coal industry. He'd done a good job of that. He promised also that energy costs would absolutely skyrocket, which they have. EE Pros is saving people an astounding 80-90% on their energy bills. So, as my man Backpack said, please contact Don at eepros.com. Good to go, Backpack.
Yeah, go visit eepros.com. I say again, eepros.com.
Back to you, good Lieutenant.
We're back with Randy, Lieutenant Randy Sutton. So you've been involved with a lot of different stories and a lot of different travel. And what are some of the most? You've already told some spine-tingling stories. There was something in your background in 1989 that was also very life-changing for you. Would you like to discuss that?
Yeah, sure. But I want to finish my thought that I was talking about before. That is, after my mother passed away, and I had the stroke. I began working on something that is about to become fruition, and it's called Celebrating Legacy. And I've been working on this for 4 years. I have a team that has been assisting me now of incredible people, and we're very close to launching this. It's a website that brings families closer together through the sharing of memories, memorializing loved ones who've passed away. We've created an entire new social network called the Family Journal. And the services that this web-based service offers will be life-changing. I believe that we're going to change the way that people communicate with loved ones. Because unlike Facebook, this is a totally private platform that archives memories. So in essence, you will be able to tell your great-grandchildren who you were, what you stood for, what the family history is, from your own lips, from your own written word, from your own video, even if you are no longer here, to tell them personally.
Wow.
The technology we have created is going to be life-changing, and we're testing it right now. I am so excited about it that I believe we're going to touch the lives of millions of people around this world. CelebratingLegacy.com.
You and I have some real similarities. I'd moved my parents from Cleveland to Chicago, had a similar experience to yours. We've got a lot of the same background. We're almost approaching Erie. You're doing some really wonderful stuff out there. How much do you sleep a night?
I try to get a full night's sleep.
I'm 77, as our audience knows. I worked with Julius Caesar when he was a corporal. I admire you young guys' energy. Allow me a Yoda anecdote. It's like an anecdote, only it's me. I was working with a northern suburb one night in a unit, beat unit, and my back went out. I mean, it went out. So my partner was taking me to the station so I could go home. I was able to drive. En route to the station, we encountered a active stolen car, occupied by 4 border brothers, so we had to stop them, of course. I had a prisoner on a trunk, and I virtually couldn't move. I had a flashlight in my hand and was almost in pain as it paralyzed, so the cavalry came. Bunch of police cars, of course, responded to this. And I kept asking somebody to take my prisoner. as you've experienced all your career, they all thought I was kidding. See, nobody wanted the prisoner having to book him. Finally, my partner, they said, Yoda's not kidding. Look at him. Anyway, that's my brief Yoda anecdote for the night. You and I have so much in common, I'll tell you. I'm on a board at the VA UCSD La Jolla. I don't know why. I'm not allowed to vote. I bring donuts. And they've saved my life numerous times. I left a right lung lobe in a bottle on a friend of mine's cabinet in his office down there. Guy's head of pulmonary and ICU. So I remember that terror of it's all over, and I wouldn't be able to do anything after that.
Yeah.
We've got a lot to meet and talk about, good Lieutenant. You're dying to ask a question, Backpack. What is it?
Well, there was reading your bio in 1989, you had a major incident that happened, and
yes,
a lot of people are wanting to hear more about what happened.
Well, that was, I had been a cop for 10 years before I moved to Las Vegas. And then when I started, of course, I was looking for more action, right? That was my reason for coming here to Vegas. So in 1989, November 18th, to be exact, at 9 p.m., my world collided with that of another man when he tried to kill me. The incident was what we now call an active shooter. A man started shooting at kids at a high school dance. And when I approached him, the incident that happened changed my life forever. I tried to take him physically. I was unable to. And we were within touching distance of one another when he drew his weapon and he fired at me from a position of about 3 feet. We fired simultaneously. And my gun jammed after the second round, but his gun did not. And I had no place to go. I was in the parking lot. So I rolled down onto my back, and I was twisting from side to side trying to get my gun to work while he's shooting at me. The area had gotten above us and saw his muzzle flash and saw me go down. Radioed that an officer was down, shots were fired. And my old partner drove in and tried to run the guy over, but unfortunately was a little unsuccessful. But I was able to clear my gun. I was able to re-engage him. And the result was that he was killed. And I was uninjured, even though I had no body armor on. And that moment changed the way that I viewed my life, my job, because what it did was began a journey. The journey is why did I survive and he not? When from 2 feet, almost 3 feet, we fired simultaneously point blank at one another. My first 2 shots hit him dead in the chest, but did not slow him down. And that began a journey for me of wondering why I survived and he did not. And I believe that the reason I didn't die was because I had not completed my mission yet. And, of course, then the next question is, okay, Randy, what is your mission? And it's been that journey that has, I believe, defined me as a human being, defined me as a man, defined me as a cop, a leader, and is now responsible for the books, the power of legacy, celebrating legacy, and whatever else the mission has in store for me as I continue.
Well, in your experiences, you've had many opportunities to be promoted above lieutenant. Would you say over the last 7 years that you were working on the force, and so you've always turned that down? Is that your experience?
I did not go for any other promotions other than lieutenant. That was it, because once after that you're sitting in an office, you're an administrator, and that's not exactly my cup of tea.
How many captains in Vegas?
Oh, geez, there's got to be 25 or 30.
Captains.
Wow.
Las Vegas
How many? Department is combined sheriff's department and police department combined in 1972. The Clark County Sheriff's Office and the PD combined to form the Metropolitan. So our boss is a sheriff. And then it goes sheriff, assistant sheriff, deputy chiefs, and then further down the road.
How many sworn in the whole thing?
About 2,400.
Wow.
I think we're the ninth largest police department in the country.
I won't go all tactical. What kind of pistol did you have in the gunfight?
I carried a 9mm Smith & Wesson that was issued to me by the department, which I never picked up again. I started carrying a 45 immediately thereafter, which I carried the rest of my career.
Yeah, I worked with Illinois State Police. They turned in 1,500 357s for the new Smith, the 9mm. And the range master in Springfield got a couple patents on it to do with springs, or I don't know. He retired after that, but he actually changed the first issue with that Smith 9mm, but I promised not to go tactical. What questions you got back there?
Well, we're coming up on 60 minutes. We'd love to have you on for another 30 minutes. It's been a great show, and our emails and chat rooms lighting up.
Don't let them get away, Roy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to go to a brief break. We'll be back with Lieutenant Randy Sutton, the most decorated street cop in Las Vegas. Voices of Global Freedom, MagnifiedView.com, has the Patriotic American Hero Award. And this week, we are honoring Brigadier General Ernest C. Audino, United States Army retired, currently serves as Senior Advisor to the Kurdistan National Assembly of Syria. He also serves as Senior Vice President of Radon Corporation. We have been honored by his presence with at least 2 shows in the past in our archives, and they've both been fantastic shows. Please go check out his blog at generalaudino.wordpress.com. It's generalaudino.wordpress.com. And he's working a lot with the Kurds, embedded with them, and bringing to light that we need to do more about helping the Kurds in Iraq and Syria as a counterbalance to ISIS. Yoda, are we privileged to be working with the great General Audino?
We are indeed. He had a small team in northern Iraq, as you said, embedded with the Kurds, lived, ate, slept with them, decorated in combat with them. Quite a guy, really. As you know, there's 4,700 retired general officers in the United States, and the good General Audino ranks up there in the highest order with any of them. So congratulations, good General. You are our patriotic, heroic American award, and we'll send you that award privately. Thanks for being with us, General Audino.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Back to you, LT.
I'm here.
Okay.
So
I wasn't gonna tell you that we were going to hold you over. I was going to fake it and just keep you on. You will literally.
I wasn't keeping track of the time. Have no fear. Don't worry about it. My time is your time.
I've learned about lieutenants beginning 1960. I'd rather apologize later. You know how we street dogs do.
So, as being the most decorated street cop in Las Vegas, what were some of the decorations that you've been awarded?
Well, I've gotten, I really don't like to talk about them, to tell you the truth. But I mean, they ran from Medal of Valor to multiple life-saving awards, meritorious conduct, exemplary service, community service. I mean, if you work for good leaders, they recognize good service. And so even though I got those awards, it's because of the people that I worked with and the people that I worked for. So it was, it was a nice decoration for the uniform. It made it look very pretty. But the things that really I'm more proud of are the people that I worked with, that I was able to play a role in their lives and in their careers, and that still contact me today to tell me that something I did as a coworker and as a police leader affected them. And as I go around the country talking to police officers about policing with honor, about surviving their careers ethically, I still can play a role like that. And that's what really makes me proud. Not the decorations, not the pretty, the pretty little things that you wear on the uniform. It's the people that you work with and you work for, that you surround yourself with, and that you celebrate their accomplishments.
I work with a department here that I'm not allowed to mention by name. Pretty good-sized suburban department. It's your kind of guys and gals. Leadership's fantastic. Great chief. My point is that I work with their hostage. I have for years. Told them more than I know about hostage negotiation. Anyway, good team. I'd like to get you out to speak to them if you would. I think I can arrange that.
I'd love to.
Yeah, I'd really like to do that. They're all budgety like everybody today, but I think I can spring a buck or two and a Starbucks loose from them. Anyway, you'll be impressed by them.
Well, I never let money interfere with my message. If a department can't afford to pay it, then they'll get it for free. The message is more important, and the impact on the office is much more important than a few dollars.
I do too, Lieutenant, but I found, and I do it to this day, but I found when I charge something, the command level respects it more.
You're absolutely right. There's no doubt about that. That is absolutely
okay. It doesn't affect the troops. It doesn't affect sergeants, lieutenants. But above that, I found it gets their attention if I charge something.
Yes, no, I understand exactly what you're saying. But, I want to go back.
Anyway.
You were just talking about honoring a general. I was really fortunate. One of the stories in The Power of Legacy is from Colonel Barney Barnum, who was a recipient of the Medal of Honor from his service in Vietnam. And I had been in touch with him. I saw him actually on a television show, and I reached out to him. And when he heard what I was doing, The Power of Legacy, he invited me out to Washington to meet with him. And I got to tell you, man, this story is incredible. He was basically a small town boy. Went through ROTC in the Marines, and was a forward artillery observer. So this was in the late '60s, and he was assigned to a TDY in Vietnam, so that he could get a little bit of experience in the real world. So he flies into Vietnam. He's assigned to a unit. He's never been in the real combat before, and he goes out on his first mission as a second lieutenant. It's a company strength patrol, and they walk right into an MBA ambush. All the officers are killed basically except for him. And as a true Marine, he took command of the situation, and for the next 3 days, led his men into combat, where they not only saved themselves but annihilated a huge force of NVA. And he walked out with the Medal of Honor.
Wow.
He later went to become the Undersecretary of the Navy.
Wow.
And this man is as humble. This man is as courteous and courageous as you will see anywhere. He invited me into his home and participated in this book, and anybody that reads the story will be inspired. And that's truly what our military is about.
Unfailing, Lieutenant, the real ones are like you. I can say whatever I want because I'm 77. But anyway, they truly are. They are humble. They don't put on airs. They're straight up, straight talkers. I've found that all my life. I've been so fortunate to have mentors that nobody had believed. Our investigative arm was founded by Lieutenant Colonel John Shorty Powers, original voice of the astronaut. We still work closely with that arm in covert and clandestine investigation, but I've been so lucky with mentors. I got a new one with you now. What do you got over there back there? What questions you got?
One of the we've had a lot of spine-tingling moments in the interview today. The little baby that you saved, I understand that you went to the 15th birthday party.
She and I have kept in contact since that day. Her family, who are just the nicest, most loving people you can imagine, treat me like I'm part of the family, and that's what I feel like. And in fact, I had lunch with her about 2 weeks ago, but they honored me by inviting me to her quinceañera, which in the Latin culture is the 15th birthday, where a girl comes out and becomes an adult. And it was an amazing, memorable experience that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. And after the first dance with her father, the next dance was given to me. And that honor is something that I'll never forget.
How many people were there?
I'm going to say there were 200 people there.
Yeah. We go to a lot of them here, and I've seen a lot. I've seen as many as 400 in a residence.
Oh, yeah.
In and around.
It was a hell of a party. It really was.
Yeah, they are. Bit of a traffic.
I drove her in my 1947 Packard.
Wow.
Wow. That's great. We love to hear stories like that. We also understand that you are the founder of a company called Celebrating Legacy. We've touched on it. It's an online service that uses cutting-edge technology to bring families closer together through the sharing of memories.
Yes.
Our audience would like to hear more about that.
Sure. Well, let me explain the origins of this and why I created it. Anybody that has lived through the death of a close loved one, generally speaking a parent, it falls to someone to write an obituary, first of all, which is the last thing you want to do when you're grieving. Then you also have to pick up their address book and start making phone calls to their friends and relatives telling them that they're dead. And I went through that with my father and also with my mother. And every time you make one of those phone calls, it's like stabbing yourself in the heart. It's just so hard. And so as I was given the diagnosis that I was and basically told that, you need to get your affairs in order, I realized that I didn't want anyone to have to make those phone calls for me. And so I wanted to create the ability for me to be empowered to make the notification to people about when I die. And not only that, but as I was examining my life, I realized there are things that I should have said to people that I loved that I never did. And I knew that it would make me feel better to know those things were said. So one of the things that we have created is the ability that I am now in charge of who gets notified about when I die. And I can take that onus away from anyone that any of my loved ones. And I'm the one that creates my own obituary. And not only does it get sent to the newspapers for the first 3 days or whatever they call it, but it gets permanently archived on Celebrating Legacy. And I can send messages that are private messages to the people in my life that I should have said but didn't. So we've created that as well because of what I experienced with losing my folks and also coming to terms with my own mortality. But much more than that, this is about a celebration of life. Because when people think about how they're going to be remembered, they want to live a better life. They want to create family memories. Because let's face it, what's more important in any culture than our memories? So one of the things that we have created is the ability that people can communicate into the future. Tell the family stories that when my grandparents died, they took that vast amount of knowledge about my family with them that I'll never get the opportunity to know it. But now we can. Not only can people do it on their own, but think about this. Think of how grandchildren can communicate with their grandparents and tape their lives and then post it onto this website, share those memories with the close family without worrying about other people seeing it because they control who sees all of this information.
That is profound. It truly is and outstanding. I've had to make those calls.
Yes,
I agree categorically with every word you said. In fact, back to Cleveland, I was off the next day to Rome, Italy, with my mother, and she passed away that evening. We didn't get to Rome that time, but I had to make all the calls and do all the horrendipity that you mentioned. What a hell of an idea back, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great idea.
It really is.
It's really exciting about all the things.
I believe that what we have created here, and it's, at first, I got to tell you, I'm not a businessman. I'm a cop who's got some creative stuff. I've been in some movies, done some TV, but I'm not a businessman. And so I put basically every penny of my retirement into the creation of this, and gave it to people that I thought could handle it, handle building it, and they couldn't. So I lost. I don't even want to tell you how much money I lost. But other people who believed in what I'm doing, people like what my CEO is now was the CEO of Earthlink and has he's a Vietnam veteran tank commander. My advisor and is a former submarine nuclear officer who was Bill Gates' strategic advisor, who lost his daughter at a young age and believes in what we're doing. I have an amazing team now, amazing technology team and advisory team, and now we are literally months away from launching. And I believe that we will bring comfort to people all over this world. And being able to honor loved ones who passed away, to me, is one of the most important things that we can do. And you can put a memorial up to someone on this website, and it will stay there forever. We call ourselves Remember Forever.
Wow. We want to help you with all of this, really, with our meager resources. We're non-monetized. We're non-monetized means we haven't figured out how to make any money, at this. Nor do we desire or care to, really. But this is exciting. We want to help you with a lot of this stuff, really. Do we not, Becca?
Yeah, that's correct. And I also really recommend, we just had a great interview last week with the United States Air Force Brigadier General John E. Michelle, who's also working on very similar types of things to really get leadership going. And there's a hashtag going around called, his website is generalleadership.com, and so we were really privileged to have him on last week, and it's very similar about inspiring and creating leadership and leaving legacies for people. So I highly recommend our audience to go back and listen to the show last week as well. They're very, lots of people out there. I liked what you say. I wanted to get back Lieutenant Randy Sutton on Voice of the Global Freedom, when you were talking about sometimes it seems like all of us go day to day where it seems like everybody is into themselves and they're all about, sometimes it just seems like everybody's greedy, and we see on the news everything seems negative. But there are a lot of really bright lights out there, and we'd love to bring that up, and this is a big part of Voice of Global Freedom, magnifiedview.com, is to come up with solutions. And we've run into some spectacular people that we don't, such as yourself, we don't even understand how you have time to go to sleep at night. We're so amazed at all the incredible things you're doing.
That's true.
Well, the thing is that the power of legacy is the power to change lives, and we all have that power. So how do we inspire those around us, those that are listening to this broadcast right now? How do we inspire them to reach out and touch the life of another person with kindness and with compassion, with integrity and with honor? And the way we do that is by bringing forth the stories of men and women who have done just that. Because when we hear these stories and we're inspired by them, we want to reach out in the same kind of way and leave our mark on this world. And that's what the power of legacy is all about.
It's about a lot. We are 10 minutes and they drop us like an anchor. They shut us down. Pretend you're a member of the audience. What takeaways should the audience take away, good Lieutenant?
Well, they should take away coming to visit me at thepoweroflegacy.com. They should take away that they can communicate with me directly on Facebook if they like. Randy Sutton, or The Power of Legacy, Facebook. I have gotten so much great communication from people that have read my book, or heard me speak somewhere, and then years later contact me to say that something I said, something they read that I wrote affected them. And there is nothing more satisfying for a guy like me to know that I touched their life in some positive way. And I'm fully willing to communicate with people. I'm not one of these guys that's unreachable in an ivory tower someplace. But if they need some personal communication, they're going through a time in their life the police may have experienced something that is devastating to them. I am available, and I welcome their communication.
That's great. What are your plans in 2015?
2015 is going to be a hell of a year. First of all, promoting the book and traveling the country, talking to groups. I'm available to speak to civic organizations, to business organizations about the power of legacy and leadership. I am working on the second edition of this book, America's Most Inspiring Leaders, and I've been launching Celebrating Legacy, which I think is probably going to keep me mighty busy. And at the same time, continue to teach Leading with Honor to police officers, organizations around the country as well.
We would like to run your itinerary on the magnified view, and that'll be a lot of exposure. You know, people will then see where you're going to be in their neighborhood.
That's great. I love
that. We can readily do that. I will give you a buzz after they hang us up here in about 7 minutes. You got another gunfight story that doesn't bother you?
Well, you know, I don't say that any of them bother me. They are part of the reality of a police officer's life. And but I'll tell you this: that I told you that my mother was dying, and I took family leave to stay with her. Well, she kind of stabilized enough under home hospice after a few weeks or a month that I was able to go back to work. So I went back as my position as the field lieutenant, watch commander, and got involved in my final gunfight, my final officer-involved shooting, when a man tried to kill his wife and baby. And I was the watch commander at the scene, and ordered my officers not to allow him to get into the house where he knew his wife and baby were. He was armed, and that final officer-involved shooting occurred just about a month before my mother passed away, and then 3 weeks later the stroke happened.
Wow.
So these events, many people believe that the police officers are out there, you know, with this look of to their face to get involved in gunfights and to shoot suspects. And you know, if you listen to the media about Ferguson and about New York, about the bloodthirsty cops are out there trying to, just rape, pillage, and commit cruel acts of violence. And there's nothing further from the truth. Every time the police officer gets involved in an officer-involved shooting, it affects their lives in a dramatic way. And the reality is this, that the men and women of law enforcement are they're true patriots. They believe in their country. They believe in their community. They believe in their agency. And they deserve to go home at the end of their shift. Not to be worried by political agendas. Not to be worried about the media attention. But to do their job to the best of their ability and go home at the end of their shift. And when the American Council on Public Safety gets completely up and running, that's what we're going to do. We're going to be part of their lives and speak for them and to be the voice of American law enforcement. And I think that's part of what my legacy will be. And that's what I believe that will touch the lives of our nation's police officers all over this country.
You are going to fill a tremendous need. Look at the anti-police thing of the current administration.
It's absolutely unconscionable.
I am eager to get you back on. We're going to want to talk to your opinion about the state of the nation and where it's going and what we can all do about it, Backpack.
Yes.
I'd like to get the good LT on soonest and talk about precisely that. You know, we need his view on that, really. You're going to fulfill a tremendous need with that. I believe we will,
yes. I believe we will.
We've got a lot
of these are dedicated people out of Washington, D.C. that believe in the same type of concepts that we're talking about, the concepps of honor and integrity.
I am eager to share a bunch of our stuff with you about that. Being at this so long, we've got a lot of real insiders. You know, and I'm eager to share our experience and our information with you about that. If you will, after this folds up in a couple minutes, I'll give you a call off air. Is that all right?
Oh, absolutely.
90 seconds.
Can't thank you enough, good Lieutenant, and audience. I know by your emails, we better get him back quick, Backpack.
Yeah, it's great having you on, Lieutenant Randy Sutton. We're excited to work with you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you guys having me on, and that the work that you guys are doing to improve lives of the people in our nation by giving an insight that is truly necessary, an insight of patriotism and of courage. I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you, sir, and thank you to all the listeners. Have a great day, and be safe out there.